Vietnam as one of the worst abusers. Everybody was happy except for China. Is Vietnam worth the risk? American companies found a new friend in Southeast Asia. That's where today's mega deal comes in. The trade surplus with the US as a ticking time bomb, valued at 1.5 billion US dollars. That's billion with a B. Vietnam thinks that it will avoid future tariffs under President Trump's second term. They are betting on a $1.5 billion golf course on it. Apparently, there's no better way to say go easy on us than a 54-hole playground for a president that is known to shake up global trade. Today's exclusive and juicy story is about Vietnam, President Trump, and a very expensive real estate project right outside of Hanoi. Yes, Vietnam, the same country that was scrutinized for its trade surplus and labeled as a worst abuser, is now swinging for the greens in hopes of having a tariff-free future. So let's see if the epic golf course can keep the tariff police at bay. But before we move on, let's get something straight. We don't do politics. We do geopolitics. Politics is about who you vote for. Geopolitics is about countries like Vietnam, the US, or China making big strategic moves that can impact economies overnight. If you are looking for partisan debates, this isn't your channel. Our viewers come to us for valuable, real information, and that's what we provide them. Geopolitics play a huge role in helping people or companies decide whether to invest or move to Vietnam. Now that we got that out of the way, let's get started. Just in case you are new to our channel, my name is Ken Duong, with over 15 years of experience maintaining and helping individuals live, work, and invest into Vietnam, US, Europe, and many other parts of the world. But most important thing we do is we discuss geopolitics and how it could impact your investment in Vietnam. So let's rewind to a trade war that made headlines a few years back. In 2018, the United States and China entered a trade war that was so intense, it makes a pro wrestling cage match look like a polite handshake. The US slapped China with massive tariffs. The tariffs were slapped on everything from electronics to soybean. Western, especially US companies, started looking for alternative manufacturing hubs that were not painted with a big red target of tariffs. Vietnam emerged as one of the biggest winners in this shakeup. Factories invested into Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh, bringing in billions of dollars, creating tons of jobs, and supercharged the local economy. Everybody was happy except for China. Of course, but that's geopolitics for you. The US-China trade war played into Vietnam's advantages. American companies found a new friend in Southeast Asia, and the Vietnamese welcomed fresh investments with open arms and possibly a high five. But here's the catch. The biggest reason that companies were moving to Vietnam was to sidestep the tariffs. This might not sit well with many American politicians who see the trade surplus with the US as a ticking time bomb. Speaking of time bombs, let's talk about the legislation signed by President Joe Biden and Vietnam in 2023, the CSPA. No, the CSPA is not a code name for some secret agent mission. It is a comprehensive strategic partnership agreement signed between the US and Vietnam. In simplest terms, the agreement is to further cooperation between the countries in trade, technology, education, and golf. Wait, I might be mixing that up with my weekend schedule. For Vietnam, the CSPA means a stronger tie to a major world economy. For the US, it's another opportunity to keep China in check by building alliances in the region. For businesses, it could mean more partnerships, fewer barriers, and possibly fewer headaches. And of course, any partnership depends on the political winds in DC. And that's where today's mega deal comes in. So here's the headline. The Trump organization is partnering with a real estate heavyweight, Kinh Bắc City Development, for a sprawling 54-hole golf resort in the province of Hưng Yên, valued at 1.5 billion US dollars. That's billion with a B. The question is whether this investment will buy Vietnam enough goodwill to avoid future tariffs under President's second term. After all, President Trump labeled Vietnam as one of the worst abusers of trade practices just after China. But that view may have changed recently. Now you might be thinking, a $1.5 billion investment by the Trump organization? This means that Vietnam is the next gold mine. It's true that Vietnam's economy is booming. There is a dynamic and young workforce, improving infrastructure, and a government actively courting foreign investors. But let's not ignore the possibility of Vietnam's growing trade surplus as being a threat to the US. A big Gulf deal may not be enough in order to shield Vietnam from across-the-board tariffs. That's why any smart investor will conduct thorough due diligence, keep tabs on geopolitics, and plan for contingencies. Is Vietnam worth the risk? Absolutely, but make sure you wear your helmets. Speaking of helmets, 80% of you are not subscribed to this channel. That's as surprising as a billion-dollar golf course in Vietnam just to fend off some tariffs. If you find our take on the geopolitics twist informative or a little entertaining, then smash that subscribe button. It's free, it's easy, and it might even lower your handicap if you're a golfer. And of course, join our 20% team. Wondering whether to invest into Vietnam? That answer could be yes, but you need local expertise, and that's where our law firm steps in. We have guided many foreign individuals and companies to understand the local regulations, securing licenses, and keeping them up to date on the ever-changing policies. Whether you plan to open a factory or invest into real estate, we will help you understand the local bureaucracy and the legal quirks. We are here to help you hit the fairways and avoid the bunkers. So will a new golf course help cement the Trump-Vietnam relations? Maybe, maybe not. Vietnam hopes that forging personal and financial ties with the Trump organization will help it weather many of the tariff storms. Meanwhile, the US may have more pressing concerns than a single Gulf project, especially if transshipment issues and trade deficits continue to grow bigger. One thing is for sure, Vietnam is becoming a player in the global arena, and it knows very well how to partner alliances with mega powers such as the US, China, and Russia. The question is whether it can keep all of these plates spinning without dropping one and smashing into pieces. So stay tuned, because this geopolitical chess match can decide the future of trade in Southeast Asia and your next big move to Vietnam. My name is Ken Duong. See you on the next video.